Good day all. Today we're going to learn how to work on the single reject compartment. We have a lot of devices in the single reject compartment. We have the sponge ruler, we have the CMD-V4 ruler shaft. We have two CMD-V4 ruler shaft there. Both of them are the same size, exactly the same. So one is outer, one is inner. So we have the CMD-V4 roller shaft belt. We normally call it the single reject compartment belt. We have the big and the small. The big ones are the outer ones. These outer ones you are seeing, they are the two big ones. Then the other ones inside are the two small ones. So you can't use the small one in place of the outer one. So now this is the side view of the single reject compartment, which consists of lots of gears, lots of clips, and lots of things that you have to carefully remove when you are working on the single reject compartment. So watch carefully as I lose all the components and all the parts of the single reject compartment as we go through on how to dismantle the single reject and how to couple it back. This wire you are seeing right now, it has polarity. This one that has the blue and red, it stays on the upper side, whereas the other one that doesn't have blue stays on the lower side. So when losing the single reject compartment, it's good to remove these wires that goes to the single reject compartments. What's the function of these wires? These wires, they connect to all the various sensors and the motor in the single reject compartment. The single reject compartment has sensors and it also has motors. So watch carefully on how I lose the wire out. The wire goes through from here and it comes out on the upper side. It's always the one in the middle. There are three wires on that upper part. So the one in the middle is the one for the single reject compartment. So I've loosed it out so that by the time I remove my single reject compartment, it will come out with ease. This roller I just removed right now, it turns the dispenser rulers. So I'm removing the clip, the green plastic that holds and hooks the single reject compartment. So we have two, the one on the right and the one on the left. So I've removed the one on the right. So now that I've removed it, I will go ahead and show you how to remove this solenoid. This is a solenoid and it works in the single reject compartment. These wires, be sure to put it back the way you saw it when you removed it, the blue and the white one. So there are lots of things to do in this single reject compartment and there are lots of things to lose. Also be sure to use a spanner, a size 8 spanner, to lose this part of the single reject compartment, both the left and the right hand side. You have to use the size 8 spanner to lose it. If you don't have a size 8 spanner, you can easily use a plier to lose it. So we are going to lose all the screws attached to the single reject compartment, all the clips and all the pins, so that we can be able to dismantle it. So you might wonder, what's a single reject compartment? A single reject compartment is the compartment in a stacker that accepts money from the V module. It picks money from the V module. If you have been following my earlier tutorial, you will know what's a V module and what's a stacker. So this single reject compartment is just a part of the stacker. Its function is to pick money from the V module, and when it picks that money, it sorts the money. The one that is bad, it keeps it on one direction, on one part of the single reject compartment. The one that is good, it takes it to the clamp. So we'll come back to that later. So these rollers I'm removing are rollers from this other side of the single reject compartment. Watch closely how I remove it. Even this black one I'm about to remove now, because when you are fixing it back, you fix it back the same way you removed it. So you carefully remove all this pin, all the screws and all the clips. So watch carefully on how I am doing that. So let's go back to the function of a single reject compartment. So as I was saying earlier on, the stacker sorts bad notes from good notes. How does it do that? The V module has a component that is attached to it called the measuring station. What's the function of this measuring station? I'll show you the measuring station later. The function of this measuring station is to dictate notes that are too thick. Once it dictates the note, this note is too thick, it sends a signal, it sends a message to this solenoid, both the left and the right solenoid on the stacker. So once it sends a message to them, this solenoid, these green levers, these green plastics attached to the solenoid, they hook one transparent plastic. That transparent plastic, once these solenoids receive a message that a bad note is coming, so what they now do is to close down. They close so that the note will go inside the single reject compartment instead of going into the clamp. So once that bad note enters the single reject compartment, it goes up again so that the good ones can enter the clamp. So that's how the stacker sorts bad notes from good notes. So I've finally removed the major parts of the single reject compartment. So it consists of motors and several other things. So now we are going to learn how to remove the sponge roller. The brown roller you are seeing right now, I'm touching right now, it is called a sponge roller. It also helps in taking money into the single reject compartment and bringing it out back to the clamp. Once the bad money enters the single reject compartment and the machine is done paying the customer, it picks out the bad money from the single reject compartment and it now puts it in the reject bin. So watch carefully how I'm losing out this sponge roller. I first of all removed the bearing, the clips and all that is attached to it, and I lose it out. If you see very well, I'm still trying to lose the other screws that I forgot to remove earlier on, because if I don't remove these screws, I won't be able to dismantle the single reject compartment completely. As you can see very well, we have four belts. So the one I'm trying to remove right now is the outer ones. These outer ones are bigger than the inner ones, so these are the rollers attached to it. So I need to remove the roller before I can be able to remove the outer belts. Watch carefully how I am removing the outer belts. For me to be able to remove the outer belts, I need to remove this plastic, this black plastic you're seeing here, and I need to remove the CMD V4 roller shaft. Like I told you earlier on, the CMD V4 roller shaft are two. This one you are seeing right now, there's another one on the inside. That one is the one that holds the smaller belts. So watch closely how I am removing this plastic. I must remove this plastic before I can be able to bring out the roller and the belt. So that's how you lose it out. I'm sorry, my camera is not capturing the thing perfectly. It's due to the positioning that I position the camera and how high the stacker is. Now I'm trying to lose this thing. So this is the plastic that houses the first two belts. So this CMD4 roller shaft is out with the bigger belts. So that's it. So now you are going to see the smaller ones. This is the smaller one. So this is harder to remove than the outer one. So many find it hard to remove this smaller one. So if you observe clearly, you might notice that the CMD V4 roller shaft in this one used to be more neater, used to be more fresher than the one on the outside. The one on the outside spoils faster than these ones. So for me to be able to lose this CMD, these belts, I need to remove all these sensors. I need to remove the sensors for me to be able to lose it. So watch carefully how I am removing it. If I'm working on it alone, there's a way I normally do it in a more easier form for me, but it will be harder for you. So now that I'm trying to do a tutorial, I have to remove these clips before I can remove it. So but if it's only me, I might not need to remove those clips. So just watch carefully how I'm doing that. So I'm just trying to make it easier for you to remove. So watch carefully how I am removing all these rollers. all these rollers, I must remove them to be able to bring out this rod. But if I'm doing it alone, I don't need to remove them. There's a way I used to bring it out. So, but this is an easier means for you. So I've removed the rod holding those belts on the down part. So now I'm going to show you how to remove the upper part, because if I don't remove the upper part, I won't be able to bring out the belts. So let's say the belts are bad and you need to change them. So this is how you must lose out all this stuff. Just be very careful in order not to damage anything. So this is the inner part of the single reject compartment. It's not that easy to lose, but if you can follow this tutorial properly, you'll be able to lose it with ease. If you watch closely, you see that I'm bringing out the belts. That's how to bring out the belts from the single reject compartment. So that's it. So let's say I want to change these belts now. If you look closely, there are different sensors. Let's say I want to change this belt now. What I'll now do is to pull out this CMD V4 roller shaft. Once I pull out the CMD V4 roller shaft, then I'm good to go. So I'm pulling out the CMD V4 roller shaft. Now if this shaft is bad, I can replace it. Now most times when I'm fixing it back, if I have two CMD V4 roller shaft, and if you watch closely, this the difference between the big belts and the small belts. If you notice that one is longer than the other, so that's it. So when fixing the rollers back, sorry, I'm confusing you, sure. When fixing the rollers back, you observe that one might be more neater than the other. That's I mean the CMD V4 roller shaft. So what I normally do, I place the neater one on the inside, on the outside. I place the neater one on the outside and the more older looking one on the inside. The reason be that the one on the outside used to experience more stress, so it tends to wear out more than the one on the inside. The one on the inside can stay for ages without damaging. So these are the two CMD V4 roller shaft. Both of them are exactly the same thing. So when fixing them, if you look very well, you will notice that they used to have two holes on one side. See clearly, you see that it has two holes. So those two holes, they stay in this other direction. Make sure when you are fixing it back, you don't use that direction that has the two holes on this your left hand side direction. So make sure that you fix it on the other side, because if you fix it the other way around, it won't work properly. So I'm trying now to put back the CMD V4 roller shaft for the inner one. So just watch closely on how I am doing that. So I'm trying to fix both the CMD V4 roller shaft back, both the belts and both the plastic. Is a bit hard to fix. So watch closely how I'm fixing it. Remember, the part that has those two holes stays in the other side. Watch closely what I'm doing, because that's how you're going to fix your inner CMD V4 roller shaft back. So most times I used to turn the stacker up for me to be able to put it in a more easier way. So I've already brought out this roller, the white ones, and I've fixed it on this iron rod. I've already clipped it back. I told you before that when I'm doing it on my own, I don't used to remove those white rollers, but I just removed it because of this tutorial, for it to be easier for you. So if you cannot do it without removing it, then remove the rollers before it will come out. So right now I'm trying to fix back the inner part, the inner compartment of the single reject. Don't confuse the single reject compartment with the reject bin. Reject bin is like a cassette that the ATM puts the bad notes or the nose that is used to do tests. So that's the single reject bin. But the single reject compartment is different entirely. That's where the notes are being separated, both the good ones and the bad ones, so that the good ones will go to the customer and the bad one will go to the reject bin. So I'm still trying to fix it back. Just watch carefully how I fix it back. As you can see, I'm almost there. It is looking a little better. So I'm trying to clip in those plastic to there are tiny holes by the side where those plastic clip in. So once you are able to clip it properly, is okay. So now don't forget to fix back those sensors that you removed down there, and don't forget to connect that solenoid back. The solenoid you disconnected the wires down there, don't forget to connect it back. So I'm still trying to fix the inner part of the single reject compartment. If you watch now, it's looking neater because I've finally pushed in the plastic. Now the belts can roll properly. So now it's time to fix the upper one. I put the belts first. Watch how I do it. I don't put it together with the plastic. I put the belts and the CMDV4 roller shaft first. Remember, the side that has two dotted holes will stay on the other side, the right hand side. So that's how I do it. I set the belt properly, then before I now bring my plastic and fix it in. Watch closely how I'm doing it. For it to be easy for you to do. So I'm trying to fix in the plastic. That's for the outer part of the single reject compartment. I'm fixing it the plastic for the outer part. So that's it. So the belts have entered inside. So once the belts enter inside, what you will now do is to try to lap the plastic for it to match with the CMDV4 roller shaft and for it to also match into its position. So once you are able to do that, you can now put those small rollers that used to be down. So I'm still trying to match it up for it to enter. So now it's time to put those small white rollers. So just watch carefully how I'm fixing it back. So that's how to fix it back. It's very simple. You just, sorry, my hand is blocking the camera. So that's how I fixed one of it. So now remaining the second one. If you don't fix it properly, the rollers will not roll well. So it's very simple to fix. So right now it has entered. Now my belts can turn very well. So just watch carefully what I'm doing, because this is how you are going to fix in your own belts. So that's it. So when you fix it, roll your CMDV4 roller shaft properly for you to be able to know whether the thing has set in properly. Now it's time for us to put in our sponge roller. Watch your sponge roller carefully. You will notice that the longer side stays in this your left hand side, the part I'm putting in first, whereas the shorter side stays in the other side. Make sure you don't turn it in the wrong direction. So that's it. The sponge roller. Make sure that your sponge roller is neat. If it's worn out, if it has chopped off, kindly replace it, because you can't manage the sponge roller. Once you are managing the sponge roller, you will have lots and lots of high rejects. So now I'm fixing those sensors back and the wire for the solenoid. Just watch carefully and you'll see how to fix it back. Ensure you fix your own back. If you forget to fix it back, it won't work fine. So that's it. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to tighten all those screws that we loosed, all those clips that we removed, all those screws that we removed too, all those bearings. We're going to place them back, because if we don't place them back, we won't be able to put the other parts of the single reject compartment, as these other ones that we have already put, we need to tighten them. If not, they will be falling out from their position. So I had to do a little fast forward of some of the tightening of the screws because of time, so that we won't waste a lot of time. So but when you are doing your own, cool down and tighten your screws properly. So that's it. So I'm now coupling and tightening the right hand side of the single reject compartment. Ensure you tighten all those screws well. Tighten it properly. Don't slack the screws. Tie the screws properly. So once you tie the screws properly, you put in all your bearing. Ensure that the bearings are very free. If any of the bearing is stiff, change it. Don't manage the bearing, because when you are managing the bearing, you will encounter lots of high rejects. Bad bearing used to cause loss of high rejects. So ensure that the bearing are okay. If it's not that okay, you can use hydraulic on it. You can also use engine oil on it, but hydraulic is the best for it. That's if you don't have another bearing to replace it with. Watch carefully how I put in all the bearing. I'm fixing the bearings. In all these bearings, they have different sizes. So but these three I just fixed in now, they are the same size, so you can put any one anywhere you want. This one I'm putting now is a bigger bearing, so you can't use it for the other one. So when you put your bearing, use your flat to push in the bearing properly. Don't spoil the bearing, don't bend the bearing. Push it in, then start clipping them. Clip all of them, so that don't forget to clip any of the bearing that you push inside. If you forget to clip your bearing, you will have lots of issues on the later on. So now we are putting back our solenoid, the left hand side solenoid. So the solenoid, watch carefully how I'm putting it back, because there's a DPS sensor there. So if you don't put it in the way I'm putting it, you find it hard to put, and you might end up damaging your DPS sensor. So when you put your solenoid, you put the wires back. There are also lots of other things that you can do there. Remember, when putting the wires of that DPS sensor back, it has polarity. The one that has blue wire stays on the up part, and the one that doesn't have blue wire stays on the lower part. So this thing I'm fixing right now is also a component of the single reject compartment. Watch the direction in which I'm fixing it in. It came out when I was losing it. Maybe you didn't notice it, but this is very important. So when you fix it, you make sure that you tighten all your screws after fixing it, so that it won't fall out. But if you tighten all your screws before you try to fix it inside, you might find it difficult to fix. You might find it difficult to push it inside. So I'm putting the clips of this other side of the single reject compartment. Ensure you push in all your bearing well, then clip all of them, then tighten all your screws. Don't miss any of the holes that you need to tight screw. So that's how I do it. I just shift this other solenoid and tighten my screws. You see that the first solenoid that I just fixed, that one I removed it completely, but this one I just used to shift it. There's no need to remove this one completely. So watch this first belt. This belt is coming from the reject bin side. This belt, how I fixed it, there are two holes there, but when I'm fixing this black one, I put my pin on the upper part. So the other rod has two pins. So that's the CMDV 4-roller shaft rod. It has two pins. So the one I'm fixing right now, I'm going to fix it on the lower side of the hole. So see the one, watch carefully to see how I fix my belt. I first of all carry it and fix this lower part, clip it in, then I take the second one and clip on this other side. Take the second one and clip on this one. The rollers are different. Some people clip. Some people, I've discovered that in the course of working on ATMs, I used to interchange the rollers, although they are different. But sometimes I place this one that looks smaller on the down part. Sometimes I place the other one on the upper part. So it just depends. It works in either way. So that's it. So now I'm trying to fix all the other parts of the single reject compartment. Just check the direction I'm fixing in this rod. If you don't fix it properly, you will find it hard to fix the other ones I'm going to bring. So see the other part. When you are fixing it, push that white stuff backward so that you can fix it properly. So just watch as how I'm fixing all these devices. Just watch carefully because it is very important. It's very important. Watch carefully how I'm fixing all these devices. So now I'm going to fix the remaining parts. I'm going to fix the remaining parts of the single reject compartment. This side that has the motor. Some people just feel that this side that has the motor is the only single reject compartment part, but watch carefully. Now that I'm fixing it, that clip I moved it backward with my fingers, and I clip it at the back. You must do it the way I did it. If you push in that compartment without pulling that thing that looks like spring backward and hooking it at the back of the single reject compartment, then you have lots of issues, have lots of jam inside the single reject compartment. So just watch carefully. Now I'm going to put this other screw, or what will I call it? So that's it. So this roller, this gear, I've told you before that it turns the dispenser frame rollers. So now I'm fixing it. I want to fix it. There are 3 yellow gears that stays here. The 3 of them, they have different sizes. You have the smallest, then the medium, and the biggest one. The smallest one stays at the upper right hand side. The medium stays at the left hand side, and the biggest stays below. So I just fixed the spring of the solenoid. So ensure that you fix that spring properly. If you don't fix that spring, you have lots of problem. So now see the smaller one, it stays at the upper right hand side, then the medium one stays at the left hand side, the upper left hand side, then the big one stays below. So that's how you fix it. If you try to fix it in another way, it won't work properly. So that's it. So now we will now fix the wire for the sensor, the wire for the DPS sensor over there. Ensure that you fix the wire properly. I've told you before, the side that has the blue wire stays up, and the side that doesn't have the blue wire stays down. There's also another small wire inside there, that wire to use to show error 20. If you don't plug this in properly, it will show you error 20. Watch carefully how I plugged it and plug you on that same way. So now I'm going to rewire that wire I'm trying to pull up used to show error 20 if you didn't plug it to the controller board. So right now I'm going to rewire all these wires to take it back to its previous position, because if it's not in its position, you can't be able to connect it properly to the controller board. Ensure you pushing your wires properly. If not, you'll go and cause issue in another place. So see how I'm fixing my own wire, because that's how you're going to fix your own. Follow my lead on how I'm fixing the wires and fix your own the same way. Put it in the middle of those other 2 wires up there. It's usually in the middle. So that's it. I've coupled the other side, so it's just remaining for me to put this cover plastic. Even if you don't put it, it will work, but it's very necessary to put it to avoid any other thing to damage or to spoil any of the belts or any of our components on that direction. So when you finish, you discover that you must check this in to see if it's springing properly. There's another spring on the inside of the single reject compartment. There are 2 springs, left and right. So I'm trying to fix in the spring. I've hooked this one, so remaining the other one, just watch carefully. Sometimes I used to use my flat screwdriver to hook it in, but right now I just want to use my hand to push it in. So sometimes you might discover that using hand is easier for you, or using flat is easier for you. All this must be springing properly. As they are springing now, it is okay. So now we just put this rod. This rod helps when you are putting your output tray. So that's it. Thank you for watching this video, and I wish you all the best in your quest to become a more prolific engineer.